principles. I'll be talking about how to keep your renovation budget as low as possible, how to avoid overcapitalising, what to sort of think about when you're planning your project so that you can get in, get out, and get it done really quickly without fiddling around for months and months. And
so it sounds like planning is a big part of undertaking a renovation for profit project.
Very much. Planning is really key, and I try and drill that into my clients too. And it's planning what you're going to do, who's going to do it, what it's going to cost, and really thinking in advance before you start the process. Really planning is how you get it done well, and you get it done quickly, and you get it done profitably.
And that's the thing, we're all looking for that extra profit at the end of the day, so we can then reinvest it, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are the stages of planning for a renovation, for example? So I'm a client, I have a property, my intention is to renovate it and turn it over and make some profit. What would be the planning stages that we'd go through for that?
So you've got a property that you're thinking about renovating. The first things you really want to be thinking about are how much you're going to be spending. I work with my clients to help them figure out what a good amount to spend is, and that's really based on the area that your property's in. It's based on the type of property it is, and it's also based on what you want to do with the property, whether you want to rent it out, whether it's a property you're holding, you're going to rent it out, or whether you're going to sell it. So the first thing is figure out how much you want to spend. The second thing is to figure out what you want to do, and that's really where I come in mainly and help my clients figure out what they can do to their property by spending, keeping within that budget that's been that we've set, and then deciding what to do. So that's the next step, deciding what to do. And then the third step is getting all your pricing and making sure that that all fits within your budget, and also allowing a contingency there, because as you probably, and everybody's seen all these TV shows where all the renovations go over budget. So just being really realistic about the pricing. Once you've got your pricing, it's putting a plan together about when it's all going to happen, and then really just making it happen. So that's the process.
And what would your advice be to handy? So Jane, a lot of people think doing it yourself is the best way to go. Would you agree with that statement?
Look, for property investors, I usually recommend to pay professionals. I've done a lot of renovations myself. I've never done any of them, and any of the painting or plumbing or any of that, of course. I've always paid people, and I've always made money from my own renovations, and I recommend my clients do the same thing. If you consider how long a renovation takes, let's say you're going to do your own renovation, maybe you work full time, maybe you don't, but it's going to take you probably 3 or 4 times longer than a professional if you were going to pay professionals, let alone the sort of quality of the work. So let's say, for instance, you pay professionals and the renovation takes you 4 weeks, which by the way is totally achievable. Most of my renovations only take 2 or 3 weeks.
The DIY as opposed to professionals. So it sounds like that if you do enlist professionals, the job is done properly, in a timely manner, and to budget.
Yes, so what I was going to say, is if you do it yourself, if you pay professionals, you might take 4 weeks. If you were to do it yourself, you probably take 3 or 4 times that amount of time. And then you've got your holding costs of your property to pay for. So I've done a few numbers, and if you have your property vacant for, say, 16 weeks, which is 4 times 4 weeks, so if we multiply the amount of time a DIY project takes is 4 times more, which is pretty realistic, especially if you're working full time and you're only doing your renovation at the weekends or after work or whatever. That's sort of a 4-month renovation time, and holding costs around 7, 8, 9 grand, obviously depending on the type of property and the value of the property. So you've got that kind of payment there.
Jane, can you give me a typical example of what a client would spend and what their return on that spend would be?
Yeah, sure. So if typically a client will spend with me, they'll spend $15,000 to $30,000. I try not to, and obviously it depends on the sort of property. I've got clients who have spent more than that. I've had clients that have spent less than that, but I typically try and keep within that range because it's pretty affordable. It's realistic kind of budget to work to. Now, if you're spending, let's say, $15,000-$20,000, you'll make at least I actually have a guarantee with my business. My guarantee is that you'll at least double that, but typically people will triple it, if not more. I've actually got one client, and I'll go through this example during the presentation. They spent $15,000 on their renovation, took a month, and they added $105,000 worth of equity.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So they pulled that equity out and started.